From the moment I saw this Red Heart retro stripe yarn, I knew it had to be mine. Didn't know what I was going to make with it, but I knew it had to be beachy, it had to be 80s, and so I came up with the 80s Retro BFF Phone Bag. Hi, I'm Beth, this is Summer, and we are Chic Chic Crochet. Those warm, long summer salty spray evenings on the beach, it just brings back all of those feelings, all of those memories. And naturally, we didn't have cell phones back in the 80s, but we did like bags and we did love these colors. So that is what I came up with. As you can see behind me, I had several different attempts. So I tried different sizes and different stitches. For the decorative stitch, I tried bobbles, I tried popcorn, and I tried the puff stitch. And I ultimately landed on the popcorn. It looks the best to me. And when you make this bag, you will probably get all of the color changes. I can't guarantee that you will, but if you stick to my sizing, you probably will experience all of the color changes in one bag. So back here, I did make this bag a little thinner, more narrow, and it did not get all of the color changes. It nearly did, but not quite. This is the largest one I made, and it did get all of the color changes. This one is kind of a medium size, which is kind of the size that I landed on. I'll go over all of the details in the tutorial, but for sizing, you can adjust my pattern to the size of your phone or to your needs. Maybe you want to carry other things in here as well. If I'm sitting down and working this bag just straight through, it takes me about 90 minutes, maybe a little less. So I would say that for your first time, if you don't have interruptions, you should easily be able to complete it within 2 hours or less. So come along, it's gonna be totally awesome, dude. Let's get started. So to begin this super fun 1980s inspired cell phone case, it's 1980s inspired because of the colors of the yarn, because obviously we did not have phones. Well, we had phones, but we did not have cell phones in the 1980s. But this is what it makes me think of. We're going to slip stitch onto the hook, and you're going to chain 15 and chain loosely because we're going to single crochet back down that chain, and it's going to get really tight. If you want, you can even use a larger millimeter hook if you want to do a 5.5 or a 6 to start, and then switch the hooks when we start to come back down the chain. Some people do that, but I tend to just try to use a looser tension as I'm making my chain. So you're going to chain 15. And I was talking and not counting, so now I have to go back and count. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. Now turn it over to where you see these back bumps and find the second bump from the hook. So here is the first bump and there is the second bump. And we're going to go in to that second bump from the hook and yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, do a single crochet, and then take your stitch marker and mark that stitch because it will become a little harder to identify as we go. And continue in the back bumps only. You can go in the side of the chain if you prefer, but it's just a cleaner look if you do this. If you don't want to deal with the back bumps, you can just go into the side of the chain and single crochet back down the chain as I am doing. And already we are getting a color change. This yarn doesn't color change that often, maybe every couple of rows once we get into the double crochet rows, but I had snipped off the end and that's why I'm seeing a color change already. And the colorway of this skein of yarn I've gone on and on about before, but I just love it because it's the 1980s to me. It just inspires all of those childhood and teenage memories of my summers and these colors that I used to enjoy wearing. So I've really enjoyed all of the melon and the lime and the neon yellows. Well, I wouldn't call it neon, but it's a bright yellow, and the melon colors were definitely colors that I loved back in my early childhood and spent the late 80s where I was getting into my teenage years, and those are great memories and they're vivid memories for me. So that's why I've enjoyed this yarn so much. And now we are at the end, so we should have 14 stitches. we chained 15 and now we should have 14 single crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And now we are going to make 2 more stitches into that last stitch we just did, because we're going to start making an oval and going around this chain, and it's going to become a little flat oval bottom for our bag. It will look something like this. Here's one of the bags I already made, so you can see that the bottom of our bag, this is what we're doing right here. So make 2 more stitches in that last stitch, 2 more single crochets for a total of 3, and mark the middle one. So you've got 3 stitches all in that one stitch. Mark that middle stitch. Now we're going to single crochet into this stitch, so be careful not to go back into the space that we made with those 3 single crochets. It made a little hole there, so we don't want to go in there. We don't want to go here. Slip your hook under right here. Can you see? Right here is where we're going. Try and pull it apart for you where you can see there's a space right there. That is where we are trying to single crochet into for that next stitch. And then this is our next stitch beside it. And continue to single crochet on down. All the way to the next stitch marker. When we get down to this last stitch of this row, it is very tight, so try not to miss it though, because it is a stitch that is important. You may have to fight with it a little bit. And I split my yarn right here, so I'm going to try to fix that without having to pull through. Okay, I did. There we go. And now we are at where our stitch marker is, and we're going to put 3 single crochets where that stitch marker is. So there's 1, 2, and 3, and go ahead and take your stitch marker and mark that first one. So mark the first one in this case, not the middle one. And continue on down with single crochets till we get to the stitch marker on the other side. And here we are at the stitch marker on the other end, and we're going to single crochet into that stitch. And we are going to put 2 more single crochets. So you're going to have 3 single crochets in that last stitch. And mark, this time you're going to mark the middle one with your stitch marker. So out of the 3, you're going to put the stitch marker on the one in the middle, and then continue down the other side with single crochets. So we're back around to where we began, and we're going to now start a single row crochet into the back loop only. And the reason we're going to do the back loop only is it's going to give us this flat bottom for our bag and create a little space in here instead of just making two panels and sewing them together. This is just going to give you a little more space at the bottom of your bag and give it a flat bottom. And to do that, we're going to slip stitch into where we just removed our stitch marker. So go into that first stitch, yarn over, pull through, and pull straight through. Just make a slip stitch and then chain one. And in the next stitch, which is right here, you're going to go into the back loop only. We're single crocheting still, but we're only going to use the back loop of that stitch. So here's the front loop, this is the back loop. We're going to go down through the middle, come out the back, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. And before we continue, take your stitch marker and mark that slip stitch chain one. This is the chain one where we slip stitch. That's going to mark the beginning. Actually the end. When we get back around, that'll be our last stitch. So you see it does leave a gap here, but that gap is going to disappear as we go. By the time we get back around, you will not have that big gap in your bag. It won't show. So you can see here, it leaves a nice finish. It doesn't leave the big gap. So don't worry about that if you're alarmed by seeing that space. And we're going to continue around with single crochets in the back loop only. So I will meet you back around when we get to the stitch marker on the other side. We are back around to our stitch marker. You should have 36 stitches. I'll explain in a moment why we are doing 36 stitches. You want multiples of 3. And well, I'll go ahead and explain that so you're not confused. When we get to our popcorn stitches, a popcorn stitch is going to represent one stitch because all of these stitches that make up the popcorn go into one stitch. And we are having 2 stitches in between each of the popcorns. And you don't have to do the popcorn stitches when we get to that. If you just want to double crochet straight up, you can, but it just gives it a little more character. It's kind of cute. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3. 3 is the popcorn. 1, 2, 3. 3 is the popcorn, and on around. And the math is just going to work out better if you do multiples of 3. So whatever your stitch count is when you go around, and you can size the bag to your phone, to your preference. It's best if it works out that whatever the stitch count is, that it is divisible by 3. So that is why I've chosen to do 36 in this weight yarn and in this size hook. That just seems to be the sweet spot for the size. So now I'm going to take out my stitch marker, and I'm going to do one last single crochet through the back loop only into that stitch, and that is the complete round. And now we are going to start building up our rows, and we're going to do that with double crochet. So we're going to build up the sides. And also, let me pause here and show you that if you use the chain method to build up your stitches, so if you start with a chain 2 or a chain 3, whichever you prefer to be your first double crochet, you're going to get this sort of look. So you're probably going to be able to see it up your bag a little bit more. I like to use the stacked single crochet method, and this bag is using the stacked single crochet method, and honestly, I can't really even tell where it is. Okay, it's right here. So if you can see that, that is a stacked single crochet versus this method. So that's going to be the difference in your bag. You can choose whichever you want to do, and I'll show you both, and we will do that right now. If you are a beginner crocheter, you may not be familiar with those two different options. So pull that back out. I single crocheted back loop only into that stitch. This was the one that was our slip stitch chain 1 from before, from the previous round. And so that is my last single crochet into the back loop only of this round. And now I'm going to slip stitch into the next stitch, which will be this one right here. So I'm going to go under both loops. We're not back loop only crocheting anymore. We're going to go into both loops. And I'm going to yarn over, pull through, and pull straight through. So now this is going to be my first double crochet. I'm going to do this by chaining 2 or 3, depending on your tension. I would suggest doing 2. 3 can get real gappy, so my suggestion is to chain 2. And then you continue into the next stitch with your double crochet. So that chain 2 is representing your first double crochet, and then you would just continue on around with double crochets. You're going to mark the top of that chain with a marker so that when you come around, your next row is going to join into that stitch. So this is the stitch from our double crochet that we just did. Go back 1, and this is the top of that chain 2. And you're going to mark that because when you come back around, you're going to have to go into the top of it. And that's going to be where you're going to slip stitch into and join your row. For me, I'm not going to do it that way, and you can do it with me if you like. I'm going to do the stacked single crochet method. So I've already slip stitched into the stitch. Now I'm going to go back into the stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, then take my hook and go back in between these 2 stitches right here. Go back in between, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and I like to stack mine 2 high, 2 stitches high to represent my double crochet. Some people do 3, I'm going to do 2, and then now I'm ready to begin my row with my double crochet. So go into the next stitch, which will be this one with a regular double crochet. You're going to yarn over, go through the stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Now let's back up and mark our stitch. So this is the top of that stacked single crochet. Here's the top of the double crochet. Here's the top of the stacked single crochet. Mark that stitch. Now it doesn't look exactly like a regular double crochet, but it looks much more like a double crochet than a chain 2 does. So the gap is much smaller. Actually, there's not really a gap there. It's just going to be a much cleaner look. That's my preference, but you do however you prefer. Now just continue around with our double crochets. And we're not increasing on the ends anymore. So now our bag is going to turn up. The sides are going to start to build up, and the part that we built at the beginning, the oval, that's going to be the flat bottom. It's going to curl up on you the wrong direction until we get around to the other side, and then you can flip it the other way and it should stay. This is going to be our last stitch. You should have 36 stitches if you followed my pattern, and So don't mistake where you started your stacked single crochet for a stitch. If you can see, pull it out where it looks like it's going straight up, you can see that that is not a stitch. You shouldn't go into that one or you're going to accidentally increase. So try to keep count, that will help you. So you should be at 36 or whatever you decided on your previous row. Just make sure the count stays the same. And we're going to go into the top of that stacked single crochet. That is a lot easier to get into than if you were doing the chain method, which is going to, again, keep it straighter and prevent the gaps. So you're going to just slip stitch all the way through and join that together. So we've slip stitched. Now you can see that the sides are turning upward and it's starting to look more like a bag. And for this first stitch of our row, we're going to do the stacked single crochet or chain 2, whichever you prefer. And we're going to go back into that stitch that I just slip stitched through. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Then go back in between that stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. And go into the next stitch with a double crochet. And then I'm going to mark the top of that stacked crochet. We are going to repeat this same row. It's going to just be a same row repeat with the double crochets, 36 stitches around. We are going to do that for a total of 9 rows. So don't count your single crochet row, just start counting at your double crochet row. So that is our first one. And we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then stop at the 9th one, and I will meet you back and show you how to do the popcorn stitches. So from the bottom, from the first row of double crochet to where I want you to stop, do 9 rows, and I will see you back in a moment. We are back. I've finished my 9 rows, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and now we're going to start our popcorn row. So I'm just getting ready to join. First stitch of my last row. So I'm going to slip stitch into there, and I am going to make a stacked single crochet. So that's going to be my first double crochet of the row. I'm going to make 1 more and then mark the top stitch of my stacked single crochet. And now I'm going to do my popcorn stitch. Popcorn stitch is really fun, and hopefully this will be something that you find fun and a new little skill for you if you haven't done them before. So all we're going to do is we are going to double crochet 5 double crochets into the next stitch. It's just that easy. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we are going to want our popcorn to pop out this direction. So gently take your hook out of the loop, count back 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, go into the top of the first stitch of your popcorn stitch, then come around, go back through your loop, and pull it straight through. And there's your first popcorn. And then yarn over, keep it pretty tight, go into the next stitch and do a double crochet. And then the next stitch, do a double crochet. And the next stitch is going to be a popcorn. So remember, I told you we needed your rows to be divisible by 3. This is why. So we've done 1, 2, 3, and now we're ready for our next popcorn stitch. So you're going to do 5 double crochets into that next stitch. There's 2, 3, 4, and 5. remove my hook, count back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's the top of my stitch. Come around, grab it, pull it straight through, tighten it up, yarn over, make a double crochet into that next stitch. And I don't really like how big that loop is, so I'm going to take it off, tighten that back up a little bit, yarn over. That's what I mean when I say try to keep it tight, because those tops of those stitches can get really big and gappy if you're not careful. So that was my first double crochet after the popcorn. Here's my second one. Now I'm going to do 5 double crochets into the next stitch, and I'll just hang out with you as we go all the way around this row, making our popcorn. Okay, slip it off, go back to the beginning, come through, pull that tight, pull it straight through, yarn over, and make my double crochet into the next stitch, double crochet into the next stitch. Now we're ready for our popcorn again. And I'm hoping I'll get some nice color changes coming up here, because as you can see, I haven't gotten to the pinks and melon colors yet. I'm still in the greens, so I'm hoping I get some of those bright pinks and melon color. I think I will. I'm not sure if it will come up in the popcorn, but hopefully it will come out by the top of the bag, and definitely it will start showing up in the handle, I'm sure. But I really like seeing all the colors in the bags. That's what is so fun about using this yarn. So I'm doing my next popcorn stitch. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Slip it off, go back to the beginning, grab, pull, do my double crochet in the next stitch, double crochet in the next stitch. It's time to popcorn again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Back to the beginning. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Go through the hoop, loop, pull it tight. Now double crochet into the next stitch, double crochet into the next stitch, and popcorn again. I'm trying to think of something I can make for my little girl Summer, my fur baby, out of this yarn. Maybe a sweater for the winter. It's going to be a very thick, heavy material to try to use as a wearable. I was trying to think of something I could use it for as a summer wearable, but I tried a couple of different things, and it was just so heavy and thick. It would not be fun to wear in warm weather, and it's not really appropriate colors for winter, but you know, winter can be dark and depressing, so maybe I would enjoy watching Summer wear a little pretty sweater in these colors in the winter. We'll try it anyway. I have also seen many beautiful blankets made out of it, primarily not made out of the entire thing is not primarily made out of the Red Heart yarn, but I've seen the Starburst granny squares, and so the middle of the granny square, the Starburst part, is made out of the Retro Stripes yarn, and then the main part of the granny square and the joining is made out of a different yarn. So maybe you could select a higher quality of acrylic that's still a worsted weight size 4 yarn for the body of the blanket, and it can be softer. I'm definitely wanting to make a granny square purse or some sort of bag or market bag, that is something, I mean, that's, you know, kind of considered a wearable. Let's say you're wearing a bag, you are using it as an accessory to your clothing. So that is definitely a piece that I want to do for this summer as a larger piece out of this yarn, not just the small phone bag, but a large granny square bag or some sort of bag. A real full-size purse I think would be beautiful. So that might be my next thing. I've got so many things I want to make on my agenda, so it's getting harder and harder to get them all completed. So many projects, so little time. Isn't that the story of most of our lives? I want to make so many things, but there's just only one of me. Okay, we are coming around. We only have maybe 2 or 3 more popcorns left, and we will be back at the beginning. I am starting to see some pink come through on my yarn cake here, so I'm hoping those are going to emerge very shortly. That's one thing about the popcorn, it takes up a lot of yarn, so that's when more of your colors may start to emerge. And if you want more than 2 popcorn rows, you can do as many popcorn rows as you wish. They do make the bag a little heavier, but they give it a lot of personality. I really enjoy bobble stitches, popcorn stitches, and puff stitches. Those are just some of my favorite stitches to do. They're fun to make, and they give your piece personality and character, so I really enjoy them. Okay, we are getting around. Let's see if this is going to work out mathematically. Hopefully it will. So I have 2, yes, we only have 1 stitch left, which is right here, because this one is the bottom of our stacked single crochet. So I've done the 2 double crochets here, and I only have 1 stitch left, whereas that is our last popcorn. And then there's 1, 2, and then the next popcorn. So that is working out perfectly. The 36 stitches are the sweet spot for me, both in size and just to make the math work out correctly with the popcorn. All right, that's our last one. And here I am not going to be able to do another double crochet here because that is not a stitch. That is the bottom of my first stitch of the row. So from here, after I've slip stitched this piece of popcorn closed, I'm going into the top of my stacked single crochet and slip stitch. And there we have completed the row. So it worked out just as we had hoped. And we are going to stagger the next row of popcorn where they're going to fit in between each of these. They're not going to stack directly on top. They're going to be offset so that it's going to look like this. Can you see where it's offset? It's going to be diagonal. And we're about to get a color change, I believe. So after this lime green is the yellow, which that's going to be convenient because our next row of popcorn are going to be a different color. I'll show you one of my other bags where that happened. So here you can see that happened. So this row is this color, and then the next row changed colors. And I think that's about to happen for us here. And I like that because that's just going to give it more character to have each row a different color. And so we're going to do a stacked single crochet or your chain 2, whichever you prefer. So there we go. And the next stitch is going to be the popcorn stitch. So we're going to do 5 double crochet into the next stitch. but I need to pause and mark the top of that stacked single crochet. All right, now I'm going to complete this popcorn stitch. So that's 2, 3, 4, and 5. Oh, come on, color change. Let's do this. It's going to be cutting it close. I think I just changed. Yeah, we just went from green to yellow right there. So hopefully that color change is going to start showing up. So now I'm going to do a double crochet into the next stitch. That next stitch is a little different looking just because it was our slip stitch as we were slip stitching these popcorns closed, but you can see it right there. So we still should have the, even though we did the popcorns, we'll still have the same number of stitches across the top. You're still going to have 36 stitches. It shouldn't have, I'm sorry, I'm going to tighten that up a little bit. It shouldn't have changed your stitch count at all. So now we're going to double crochet into the next one, which is the top of that popcorn. And the next one is going to be a popcorn. And it should come right in between the 2 popcorns below. Oh yeah, now we're getting yellow. Yellow, buttery yellow popcorn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm anxious to close this popcorn because I want to see the placement of it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pull that a little tighter. Pull it straight through. And yeah, looks like our stitch placement is going to be perfect. And our color change too, so that's exciting. Now double crochet into the next stitch, double crochet into the next stitch, then popcorn, 5 double crochet, one, 2, 3, 4, 5. Make that popcorn pop out. Double crochet, double crochet, popcorn. Let's pop popcorn all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I keep watching my yarn cake to see when the next color change is going to come. That's always my favorite part. If I didn't say it already, when using this yarn, I just get really excited when I'm getting ready to have a color change. It's so fun. Okay, I just did 2 double crochets and now we're going to do our popcorn. A little split right there. I don't like it when my yarn splits. This yarn isn't too terribly splitty, but when it does, I like to go back and fix it if I catch it. I did try when I made my first bag to soften it with fabric softener, soaked it in water and fabric softener, and it did get a little softer. The real reason I was doing that was to see what it would do, how it would do as a wearable, and it did soften up and loosen up, but it's still, I wouldn't consider it soft enough to make a summer wearable. Again, winter probably fine, but for a summer wearable, nope, that just wasn't going to happen. So we've done one side and we're getting ready to go around the other side. When I get this one finished, we'll flatten it out and see how it's looking. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Cute. Yeah. Looking very cute. I hope you're enjoying yours. Oh my gosh, yes. Love it. If I do say so myself, I do love it. And if you can see our yarn cake over here, color change is getting ready to happen again right here. So, woo, it's getting exciting. Maybe one or two more yellow popcorns, and then we're going to be into some coral or melon color. It's gonna look like a sunset. Here we're at the beach, we're in the ocean. These are the palm trees. Here's the sunshine, and now we're getting ready to go into the sunset. Oh, there we go. Color change. Woohoo! It's like a creamsicle. Orange sherbet or sorbet. Okay. Now we're getting a full-on orange, mango, melon, whatever you want to call it, popcorn here. It's very citrusy. Yeah, reminds me of a citrus dessert or a sunset. Can't go wrong with either one of those, in my opinion. I'm so glad we got to these brighter colors, or these sunset colors, before we ended this bag. It was having a lot of blues and greens in there, which are beautiful, but I was hoping you would get to experience all of the colors. Oh, so cute. So cute. I'm also an avid shark's tooth hunter. So when I'm at the beach, I'm always looking for shark's teeth. I have about 2,000 in my collection. I think I'm up to like 1,850, something like that. So I'll probably hit 2,000 this year. And I have a bag that I made that is similar at the beach, but I made the bottom. The bottom is more round, and I have a little cup with a lid. I think it was what gum came in, and I made the bag to fit the gum container. And when I find a shark's tooth, I'm carrying my bag, have the crossbody bag at the beach, and I just open it up, pop open the top, drop the tooth in, and that is a staple for me at the beach, is that little, my shark's tooth bag. And the first one I made was just the size of that shark's tooth container. And this year I made one a little larger so I could fit both my phone and the shark's tooth container in there. And then when I got this yarn, I made a third one, so it was kind of an evolution of my needs. But I use them a lot. I use them very frequently. All right, so we are back at the beginning. Oh, I need to make sure I didn't make too many stitches there. I think I did. Yes, I did. I went into the bottom of that stacked single crochet, and that's exactly what I'm not supposed to do. So I'm going to pull that one out, and yes, so join right there, and that would be 2 stitches in between my 2 popcorns, which is exactly correct. Okay, I'm going to slip stitch to close that round. All right. Oh my, how cute are you? You are adorable. And I don't know if you can see it, but for me, it's pretty invisible where the stacked single crochet row is. I can see it just because I know where it is, but I have to look for it. It's not real obvious. I'm not even going to tell you. If you don't see it, then that's great. Okay. Now I'm going to continue on with 2 more rows, and that will be the end of the bag, and then we're going to do our strap. So I'm going to make my stacked single crochet here. And double crochet into the next stitch. I'll do a few of these with you so I can make sure that you are being able to see your stitches on the top of those popcorns. So just double crochet around into the top of every stitch. 1 double crochet into the top of every stitch. That's the slip stitch where we joined the popcorn, and that is one of our stitches. And that is the top of a double crochet right there. That is the top of a double crochet. The next one is going to be a slip stitch where we slip stitch to close the popcorn. So that is a stitch that you're supposed to be using. If you add all those up, the top of these double crochets and the slip stitches, you should still come out to a count of 36. Okay, so I will meet you back around. So finish this row with your double crochets, and I will meet you back here because our last row we are going to make a loop for our button, and I will need to show you how to do that, and then we will do our strap. Also, getting ready to have another color change right here. So now we're getting ready to have some beautiful deep sunset colors. Oh, I'm so excited. All right, so I will meet you back at the stitch marker. And we are back. Okay, so let's take out our stitch marker and join in the top of that stitch. Make our chain or our stacked single crochet. And double crochet into the next stitch. Marker stitch, marking the top of the first double crochet, which is our chain or a stacked single crochet. And we're going to go all the way around, and then when we get to this back side, we're going to make a button loop. So our button's going to be attached to this side. Okay, when we get to the side here, flatten out your bag and find the middle. Sometimes it's hard to use the stitch count as the middle. You may just have to eyeball it. So this, I've got six popcorns in each row. This looks to be about the middle. I'm going to mark right here. Let's see if that looks about right. I think it does. So actually these 2 stitches, this one and this one beside it, I'm going to use as the middle. So I'm going to stop right here. Then I'm going to do some chains, and then I'm going to jump back over to this stitch and continue. And that is going to be my button loop. So when I get to that point, I think that will make more sense to you. And the good thing is, if it looks off to you, if yours doesn't appear to be in the center, it's easy to just frog it, pull out those stitches, and either back up or go forward one stitch and adjust it until you feel like you've hit the middle of that row. Okay, so I am where I think I'm going to be hitting the middle. I'm going to chain about 5 stitches. Let's see if that gives us enough room to do a button. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think I'm going to do one more, maybe 6. And then I'm going to yarn over, hold that with your finger because you're going to do a double crochet into this stitch. So you've skipped 2 and you're going into that next stitch, but you'll have to hold it with your finger since there's nothing to grab onto. Then let go, then yarn over and pull through. So that should be your double crochet. So we've skipped these 2 stitches and we've left a loop for our button. Our button is going to be sewn onto this side, and this little loop is going to come over like that and fasten onto the button. And I think that does appear to be the true middle of that side to me. And again, if it isn't, we can always frog it, but I think I've made enough of these that I think I'm hitting it in the right space. Here's our last stitch. And we're going to slip stitch to join, and then we are ready to make our handle, or our, excuse me, our strap would be a more appropriate word. Okay. All right, flatten her out. I think she's beautiful. That appears to be the middle to me. Popcorns are all popping. Everything looks nice. I cannot even tell where my joining stitch is. Okay, I think we are good. And that button is going to go right about there. You are going to chain the appropriate length for your preference. So for me, I like to wear my bags crossbody. So for me, that is about 130 chains. And I'm going to do that very loosely because we are going to single crochet back across into that chain. And if you make it too tight, it's going to be difficult. So just do it very loosely, and I will meet you when I get finished with this chain and help you fasten on and come back across. Okay, now take your chain and turn it either way, whether the back bumps are showing or the front is showing. Just make sure you're not twisting it, and run your finger along it and untwist it before attaching it to the other side. Doesn't matter which side is up as long as you are consistent and not twisting it. So that's the point, getting the twist out of it. So for mine, the front side is up and this is the back bump. And I need to attach it with this side facing the inside because that's the way it is on the opposite side. And I'm just going to hold it right there, find my edge, make sure that I've got it flat and that I'm on the right stitch. And I'm going to insert my hook into it, attach it back on to the hook, making sure that I haven't twisted it, pull it through, and then bring my yarn around and slip stitch it on. And then I'm going to do that again. I'm going to go back in, yarn over, pull through, and pull through again just to give it a little extra security. And then I choose to single crochet back across it through the back bumps. And you can do whatever you like. You can do just the side of the chain stitch, or you can go into the back bump only. But whichever you choose, stay consistent. So here's my first back bump, and I'm going to insert in there. And remember, I said to make sure you have loose tension because it can get tight. And right off the bat, my first one is not wanting to cooperate, but I'm going to get in there one way or another. Okay, I'm in. Then I'm going to yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. So I'm going to do single crochets. If you want your strap a little more thin, you can just do slip stitches across. If you want it wider, you could do double crochets, but this is the width you're going to get if you do the single crochets. It's going to look like this. And that is how I am going to do mine. Just remember to keep it consistent and not twist the strap as you go. And you're going to get a nicer, smoother, cleaner finish, a more refined look that I think you'll be happier with if you don't have that twisted strap. And I'm going to go all the way across, and I will meet you at the other end of the strap. So I'm finished, and now I'm going to weave in the end of my strap. And I like these Susan Bates needles where the eye goes all the way down the middle. There's several sizes of these. I've included them in other videos, but in case you haven't seen them, I will pull them out. There's, I think 5 sizes. Pretty cool little gadgets to have. I got them on Amazon. I think the set was maybe around $7, but you can use any kind of darning needle that you have. Any kind will work as long as the eye is large enough for your yarn to go through. So I'm just going to pull this down and weave my end in. I'm guessing most of you already know how to do that, but in case you don't, I just like to find a place I can hide it. Probably going to bring it down into the bottom of this double crochet row and bring it through a few of these stitches, and I like to go back and forth about 3 times. And these Susan Bates needles are very pointy, so they allow you to go in between the fibers and kind of pierce through the yarn instead of just going under it or over it, and allowing you to weave actually through the fibers. And I believe that this will hold it in place and keep it from unraveling better. Since I've been doing this and using this type of needle, I've definitely never had anything come unraveled, especially with acrylic yarn. It holds in place pretty good. So I'm going to clip off my end, and then we're going to talk about the button. And I have this little wood, it's actually plastic I think, but it looks like a wooden button, and I like the texture on it, and that's what I'm going to use. I think it's going to go about right here, and then this would come over. If you should want to close your bag, I find that I don't often need to close the bag, but if I'm, you know, up and down the beach and I might be bending over a lot to pick up shells or to pick up shark's teeth or something like that, I will button it, especially if I've got money or something valuable inside the bag, or even my phone, because it could slip out too. So you might find it's necessary to use the button. For the yarn that I'm going to sew it on, or the thread that I'm going to sew it on, I'm going to just separate a piece of my yarn and use that because the colors match exactly, and then I don't have to try to find a piece of thread where the colors match or use something that's not coordinating, like white or black. I find this works well and holds up well, so that's what I'm going to do. So this is a single strand of 4-ply yarn, and if I were to yank on it really vigorously, I probably could break it, but it's as strong as a piece of sewing thread, certainly. and I'm going to use that. For this, I will have to use a smaller darning needle, and won't be able to use the Susan Bates because those needles are just too wide to go through the buttonholes. So I'm going to have to use more of a regular tapestry needle for this. And this should be a pretty simple process. Just line up your button about in the center where you think it should be, and that it's going to be in the middle of your fastener. So I think it's going to be about right here. Just pull through, but leave a considerably long tail, long enough to where you can tie it in a knot on the other side when you get finished and secure it. And thread on your button, go through the other side. I think mine is going to go about right there. I want to make sure that I'm penetrating through the yarn to give it something to bite into, and just repeat that process, coming through the buttonhole on both sides several times until you get it nice and secure. And before I cut it off and fasten off, I'm just going to make sure that that is about in the right spot, and it does seem to be. I think that's really cute, and I'm very satisfied with that placement, so I'm going to go ahead and tie this in a knot, take off my needle, secure it with a knot, but also weave in the ends. That way it's going to be doubly secure. And again, since I'm using the same yarn that is what we made the bag with, and using a coordinating color, that's quite invisible. So once I get those ends woven in, you won't be able to see that at all. And I'm just going to weave in my ends, and we will be fini. All done. Oh, that's a thing of beauty. And you can block yours and steam it out and get that strap nice and stretched out for you, and get the curl out of it, and form your bag into a nice shape. If it isn't already, this one actually seems to be good, but I might steam it just for the fun of it and see how much nicer I can make it. And I'm going to button the button just for the fun of it also, and see how that looks. Oh, she is beautiful. I think she's so beautiful. I just love this. Love these colors. Love this fun make. The only thing that isn't 80s about this bag is its purpose, which is for cell phones, which we did not have in the 80s. My 13 or 14-year-old self would have gone wild over this bag. I don't know about you, but I just love it. I hope you enjoyed it too. What fun! I hope you really enjoyed the tutorial today, and that you came out with a beautiful bag that you're going to enjoy carrying all summer long, or gifting to a friend. Maybe make one for your BFF and yourself, and then carry them on a fun beach trip. For styling my bag today, I'm rocking the preppy top, and I am wearing a pair of authentic vintage 80s jeans. These are Armani. This girl does not throw away designer denim. So yeah, these are authentic, and I just think the bag looks really cute with it. And check out the cuffing. If you know, you know. No one cuffs a jean like an 80s kid. So if you haven't started your bag yet, what are you waiting for? We look forward to seeing you next time. Remember, my friends, let your light shine and always stay chic. Bye-bye. Chic, chic crochet.